Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarkets podcast pioneer with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and remarkableresults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey, welcome, everyone. It's Town Hall Academy with Carm Capriato. I think we're in the 400 somewhere. We have so much fun when we travel. Me and Tracy come out in the studio here in the center of the Napa Now conference. Woof! We have so much to talk about. I got two great guests. Let's get a word from our great sponsors. You know, Napa Tracks will move your shop into the SMS fast lane with on-site training and 6-day-a-week support. Also, I think the biggest thing is the local representation. Are you kidding me? Napa Tracks on the web at napatracs.com. Are you ready to roll out a training plan for your automotive shop? You ready to optimize? We'll use today's class in just 5 minutes daily, boost knowledge, retention, and improve team performance. Start seeing results today. Great gamification programs here to challenge all your people. Join your peers at todaysclass.com. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and thanks. Hey, welcome back. As I said, we're in the Napa Now, the center of the Napa Now, the National Owner Workshop here celebrating the 100 years of Napa. Bill, how many people know what Napa stands for, I wonder?
Well, it's an acronym been around for a long time. I think we're just known more as Napa as opposed to National Parts or National Automotive Parts Association.
Yeah, I know.
But 100 years, it's a big thing to think about a company today selling auto parts to be 100 years old. Pretty proud to work for that company.
Good for you. I saw Jason Rainey came out yesterday in the big opening speech, and he was wearing a 1925 counterperson's uniform with a hat, right? Because think about that. In 1925, everybody wore hats for everything. Milkmen, even if you went out in public with your significant other, men wore
all
hats.
Genders.
All genders.
Everybody.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Ladies'
Everybody.
hats, men's hats.
That's right.
That was just a different time. And everybody was uniform. To see that, imagine going back to the parts store back then and the guy in his, three-piece conductor suit with his, paper hamburger hat, whatever you want to call it on it. It was a different time. And to think how far we've come with automobiles, technology, just service, the amount of garages, the influence of automotive on society, it's been incredible. It really has.
It would be cool to do an episode with how many industries, like the haberdashery industry that made all these hats and where it went. And I wonder why we stopped wearing hats. Curiosity was it.
We're paying a lot of money for haircuts.
I just needed to hear that. Thank you. You derailed my thinking, but okay. Let me just do the proper thing. Let me introduce my guests that are here in the studio at Napa Now. Is Bill Weaver. You've heard Bill Weaver on the show. He's done cool video episodes with Tracy at the EV Ready Training Center in Canton.
My pleasure every time.
Wow. And I saw you playing an episode with me and Matt in the Auto Tech training booth.
Once we get your media, we use it.
Yeah, I see that.
We send it everywhere.
Yeah. Thank you for putting a darker mustache on Matt in the video. That was really nice.
It wasn't earlier today.
It made him look a whole 10 years younger. Bill Weaver, ASE Certified Master Technician A9, L1, 2, 3, 4, MIL2 and MIL6, 41 years. And I love you. I've seen you train. I've hung out with you. You're a great person. Thanks for being here. We're going to talk about emerging tech. And frankly, I want to talk about a bunch of things because these are two of my most favorite people. Matt Fonslow's here from the Matt Fonslow Diagnosing the Aftermarket podcast on the Automotive Repair Podcast Network.com. Now, Matt's also, I always say that you're a lead diagnostician, but you're the guy who fixes all the problems up in Red Wing at the shop.
I don't know about all of them.
I watched you work while you're here solving problems
Right.
for back there. So thanks for being here. You're also going to be doing 2 classes, huh?
3 technically.
3? Are you doing them with him?
I don't think so. That would probably be a massive improvement. We should talk to somebody.
Yeah, I escaped that.
You did.
Yeah, I'm just going to shake babies and
Uh,
yeah, that's the saying we have.
Kiss hands, shake babies.
That's exactly it. No, I'm just at the booth to get people exposed and answer any questions they have about our program over on EV stuff.
Yeah. Emerging tech. You're going to hear an episode coming out of Napa now talking about XR and extended reality. And yesterday I had, and Tracy, we both had a chance to go into the Autotech booth, wear the AR goggles, wear the VR goggles. And what was the third? The assist one, where it actually took the model that was in front of us. It was a brake rotor caliper, and it had the identical unit in graphic, if you will. And they told me that they're going to superimpose it one day. And you literally says, okay, you need the wrench. And you picked it up. If you didn't pick up the wrench, you would have been told it wasn't the wrench. It did QR code scanning. I have to tell you, I was like a kid in a candy store at that point. I totally loved it. And what I didn't have a chance to do that you did, Matt, is you wore the Meta glasses and you sat in a vehicle and you started to ask it questions. And it's really portable AI. Am I right?
Yeah, essentially the glasses have microphone and a couple of cameras in it, and of course speakers near your ears. But it's the interface for you as a technician to potentially some sort of service information. So it was very much tailored for the vehicle they have over there for an assumed brake job. You get into the car and you can ask it questions acting as a technician, like, what's my next step? I've got the wheels on, they're torqued. It might say you need to take it on a test drive to verify that it doesn't pull. Also to burnish the brakes, and I'll give you a procedure for brake burnishing. And it's just eliminating the interface of like a PC or a tablet.
Yeah.
It's basically speaking it in your ear, and
you don't have to be present at a keyboard, something holding in your hand. And just like AI is doing millions of things for us every second of the day, we're asking it questions we would have never thought of even 6 months ago, that we could get information, polishing stuff that we want to write. But to have it be so portable.
And I think as it evolves, it'll be more conversational in nature.
Got it.
Where you will be able to converse with this, we'll call it AI just for the purposes of the episode, but you'll be able to converse with it a little more naturally, and it will respond more naturally. And, essentially it could walk you through a repair, but also it could allow a more seasoned and advanced tech to move more quickly, because again, we're eliminating this interface with a PC or a tablet for your service information. You're not going to a computer to look up specifications. You're not going to a computer to find out the procedure for removing this panel. It would be able to tell you, and I think future versions, and that'll be for that episode, an upcoming episode you'll have with Robin about the future. But I think the glasses will have their own augmented reality.
Yeah.
So it kind of overlays what you can see presently with information on, whatever.
Thank you for this. I don't want to belabor this discussion because we're going to do a whole entire episode on this with a couple of the people that are working on this in a very big, big way. And I've had a chance to get a preview of what we're going to talk about. It's going to be great. But let's talk about emerging tech. We're both here. What's going on with ADAS? Interesting story the other day that says some of the dynamic calibrations are moving to static and vice versa. And everybody's saying, well, I'll never need to have to invest in ADAS equipment because it's all going to be dynamic someday.
I don't think so.
I don't believe that that's going to happen either, because dynamic in certain situations, if you get up to, let's go back to a month ago, Arthur Street in Brooklyn. Where would you drive a car in Brooklyn or a major city in order to get a dynamic calibration to actually happen?
No, you can't.
Dynamic calibrations have a speed you're supposed to maintain, a clarity of road, well marked, things for radar to see on the side of the road. Everybody has their own test drive that's prescribed for that vehicle. And there are situations where you are just not going to be able to do that. And some city footprints in our country are just so huge, it would take half an hour to get to a place where you could do the road test.
That's my point. The other point that I keep thinking about, because there's been a lot of discussion in my area of influence of people about ADAS calibrations. And we're talking about collision shops. We're talking about, do we really know when the OE says it's required and it's not requested? Oh my God, look at that. Hi, John, looking through one of the glass. And to all of our listeners, we're sorry for the interruption, but this is what happens when you're out live. In the case of this particular, we're in the Bronx, and we know we have to do a calibration. We got to send this car out probably to the suburbs where it can be actually done the right way.
Now, what if you're doing a car for a body shop that's freshly painted? Do you put it on a tow truck to take it to the suburbs to do the work? There's just so many questions you have to answer. The technology is great. The application of it in your business is very personalized.
Yeah, and that's in the US. Car manufacturers don't sell cars just in the US, and just vehicles in the US aren't the only vehicles that have ADAS on them. And maybe car X, whatever model or make and model you want to call it, you buy it in the US. Maybe they don't sell that model in a different country, but the system, the ADAS system, whatever it is, radar, camera, combination, that system from whatever manufacturer, Bosch, Continental, that's on those cars in those other countries. And they're going to have a similar procedure for calibration. They may not have the infrastructure of roads to allow a dynamic calibration. Therefore, it has to be static. It has to. What we're seeing is, I think what you're talking about is, I hear more and more cars are going dynamic. And I said, it's interesting. Vehicles that were historically dynamic seem to be shifting to static. And now vehicles that were historically static have been adding some dynamics. And in some cases, you have a choice. You can choose to do the dynamic or the static. And a lot of times the static is way faster.
And sometimes you have to do both.
Right. There's a follow-up. Yep. Subaru is a perfect example. With eyesight, you do a static calibration with a target, and then there's a required follow-up dynamic drive.
Within it's 20 minutes, I believe. You have to get it initialized, or you start all over.
Yeah.
So
and you're watching on your scan tool to see as it's learning.
Why are we ignoring this as an industry? Why are we putting up our hands saying, I'm not going to spend 50, 60, 70 grand? I don't see the importance of it. Why are we ignoring? We're doing so many things to the vehicle that can put it out of calibration. Why are we as an industry ignoring this?
I think we're all in ostrich mode right now. I mean, to call it emerging technology, and I don't want to pick on anybody here, but we've discussed this before, Matt. That technology has already emerged. It's in your shop, and it's been in your shop for over a dozen years for ADAS. And when you start talking EVs, we're 25 years into high voltage on your highways, 25 years into hybrid and high voltage vehicles as a mainstream, not a niche car. It's not emerging technologies. It may be emerging in your bays. It may be emerging in your repertoire of work, but it's been here for a while. And the fact that we have all ignored it, from alignments to bumper removal, to radar units, to simple rear view mirrors, to ultrasonic sensors and bumpers. I mean, all of it has been an evolution. It's been coming. It's been in front of us for a long time. And as an industry, it seems like we choose to ignore it at times.
It's kind of like how people would describe going broke, going bankrupt, getting divorced, stuff like that, where it happens very, very slowly and then all at once. This didn't sneak up on us, really. It's just like Bill's saying, we've had high voltage vehicles in our bays for a long time. We've had ADAS vehicles in our bays for a long time.
So why, again, I go back to the words ignoring, we don't want to invest in the education that it takes, the equipment that it takes. And so we're looking left instead of looking right. And I guess I'm upset that the industry is not realizing their role in keeping this technology as sharp and as current, and maybe that's the wrong word. Why are we, there seems to be apathy in the correctional or fixing part of this new tech.
I say there's frustration in the amount of change. And until people in our industry realize that we are one of the fastest change cycles of any industry out there, it's incredible how much changes. And people, they don't realize their initial return on investment for whatever equipment they bought for the last emerging technology, we'll call it, in our industry. So they have, the sour grapes mentality about, I invested all that money and my guys didn't use it. And a lot of it comes down to shop environment, service writers, and the education. The education, not only for the technician, the education for the front part of your garage, and the education to the customers. We finally see glass companies that, right or wrong, they're at least explaining there are safety systems that have to be recalibrated if you put a window in a car. Now, if major glass companies, whether they get it done correctly or don't, because we've all had to fix one where it didn't go right, whatever the case may be, but we have done a poor job of educating the people that actually own the cars how sophisticated and how much correction they need. They willingly will unplug their PC, tote it into a repair center, stand in line for bad news for 2 weeks later because they know they can't fix that themselves. But we have spent 35 years in this industry catering to DIYers and kind of separating the professional garage from the stuff that you can fix at home. And I think everybody ended up with a mentality that just brush it aside because it really doesn't matter. We talk about it all the time.
It just doesn't matter.
Well,
What movie was
fear.
that from? Yeah.
Fear. People are scared. It's not new. I said this at Apex. Programming's been around for over 2 decades. How many shops, independent specifically, still do not do any programming? It's nothing new. Still not doing it. And a lot of it's fear. So like back to ADAS. Somebody calls up, hey, Matt, could you give me a quote on a alignment for my Subaru Outback? Oh, okay. For a BS number. I'm just pulling a number out of ether. This is not real world. $600. Well, I'm sorry, $600 for an alignment, a wheel alignment. What do you have to do? Put it on the alignment machine, do whatever adjustments. And then when we're done, we have to calibrate your adaptive cruise control, the eyesight, the cameras behind the windshield. Wow. 600. I'll call you back. Call shop B. How much for our wheel alignment on my Subaru Outback? Oh, $89.99. I called Matt. He wants $600. Wow. I don't know. He likes to overcharge people, or why would they charge $600 for a wheel alignment? What are they doing? Jesus, your car come out gold plated? They said they have to calibrate these cameras behind my windshield. It's like, we've been doing wheel alignments for 20 years. We've never ran into that. We just don't do that. There's never a problem. That's the fear, is I'm going to invest all this money in equipment, try to educate the client, fear that they're going to, have the heart attack with the price. And then they go to shop B, another quote unquote expert, and I get thrown under the bus.
I got to make a point about the glass company. There was a period, I think it was about a year ago, that every time they showed the windshield being putting in, they said the words, and we will recalibrate your vehicle to OE specs. They haven't been saying that a lot lately. So I'm wondering if there's been pushback on that additional charge, or that vehicle may have to go to an ADAS calibration center.
So in order to do a dynamic calibration, your scan tool tells the vehicle, okay, turn the cameras on and please learn your environment around you, for a lack of a better term.
Yep.
Glass companies don't allow technicians, their glass technicians, to get into a customer's car and drive it. So they put it into a learn mode and shut the car off. It never learns. It never had the ability to do it. If you're doing a glass repair in an average repair facility, he doesn't have access to the correct targets to do static, and he's usually not allowed to, because of insurance regulations, to drive that car. So I have a really hard time with the advertising that says you do it, or when they did say that they did it, and, half of them, or whatever the case may be, did not work correctly. So personal cases of, not having the right amount of fuel in the car, and, not having the car at the factory height and the level that it was supposed to be at, whether it's a suspension setting or whatever. ADAS calibrations is not complex to push the button and tell it to learn. It's very complex in reading the environment and the situation you need to place the car in.
Hey, let's face it, your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. Napa Trax has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the industry's best, most comprehensive SMS. Now, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you need to run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice, and having local representation is a huge plus. Customizing Trax to your business, whether you're a one-person shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company, a representative consults with you to help optimize your shop's workflow, efficiency, and profitability. Trax always has the flexibility to do business how you need to do it, which means it can also grow as your business grows. And unlike the other guys, we'll be there for you after installation with the best training and support in the business. Yes, a learning management system tailored to each role in your company. Simply put, Trax was designed and built for shop owners just like you. Visit us on the web at NapaTrax, that's NapaTracs.com. Transform your team with today's class, where automotive training is easy, quick, and fun. Just 5 minutes a day on our app can eliminate hours of looking up forgotten information later. It's perfect for technicians, advisors, and managers alike. Keep critical knowledge fresh and top of mind, ensuring your team operates at peak efficiency. Today's class is impactful, accessible from anywhere, and a bit of fun too, and we're not talking about after-hours pizza either. For training that gets results, turn to todaysclass.com. I've seen commercials for companies that replace windshields to talk about calibration, and I thought that was going to be a really big thing to help people appreciate, respect, and understand when a shop offers a recalibration that they would say, oh, I've heard that before. Yeah, okay. And I haven't seen that of late. So maybe to everyone's point, we're going to have a John Eagle lawsuit of $40-some million because somebody didn't do something right that could possibly wake up the industry. And then my whole thing is about the professionalism that we demonstrate, that we want to give to our clients, that it doesn't seem like we're going the full yard.
As far as I know, I have not seen any type of litigation involving ADAS specifically to a shop or technician doing a calibration or the result of a calibration or not calibrating. But that's what we have to go on is the John Eagle. And also, how many techs or shops are still plugging tires? Right.
And how long have we known that that is really not the proper repair?
Right. And one could make an argument that plugging tires, how many millions and millions of problem-free miles have tires gone that have been plugged?
Yeah.
The problem is when they go bad, then it's horrible. There are lawsuits, more than one. There's quite a few where shops have been taken to court because they did not follow the tire manufacturer's procedure for plugging or properly patching and repairing a tire, or repairing a tire that should not have been repaired. Ultimately, it comes down to follow this frickin' service information. RTFM, read the frickin' manual. That's the standard. Follow that. Well, if we do whatever repair, pulling off a bumper or whatever it is that may disturb a camera or a radar or sensor, you have to follow the procedure to put that back into calibration. And it'd be similar to, if you're like shooting guns, you sight them in, you take them in and you get it sighted in. It's the same.
That's a great analogy.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah, you're teaching, it's a very low resolution, visible resolution camera, what 6 inches, 8 inches, 300 feet is in space and distance, and what the center of the car is, because that's how it's going to use the camera and all the other sensors fused together, if you will, to create an artificial driving situation for the car. And if you have a camera that's skewed off, 1 degree, 300 feet in front of the vehicle, it's now looking in a whole different lane.
Think about full autonomy someday.
Full autonomy or even not, there's a little something going on. And Carm can speak to this much better than I can about slow down, move over.
Yes.
Well, a lot of cars now have pedestrian detection. We're sighting in or we're calibrating cameras and radars that are going to be looking, for pedestrians. And AAA just said, one of the representatives here had popped in.
Jim Senate came in and said they just lost another person.
Right. They're getting hit by cars on roadside. And so our vehicles are going to have systems, or some of them already do, that they're kind of keeping an eye out for that and would either slow way down for us or move us over. Well, what's the reality of that? Puts you in a precarious position, a litigious situation quicker than an actual car crash.
I'm just thinking horrible thoughts of this vehicle hits a person that is fully equipped to have sensed that or done something with it, and it was off by a foot down the road, and the car couldn't react. I guess, what do we blame it on?
Let's not even go doomsday. If it's not correct, are you going to be in the center of the lane? Is lane keeping assist going to work if you're always on the yellow in the center or you're always on the white because you're just off a little on the calibration? Kind of fixed isn't fixed. So it doesn't have to be a catastrophic litigious thing. Well, what if you induce a pull in the vehicle that no alignment shop's ever going to correct because the car's trying to correct itself and it's what it feels is space and time? Bad springs, vehicle overloaded, camera looking at a bridge above us. There's a lot of things that people don't think about with the emerging technology. And when we go back to emerging, full self-driving, let's consider that emerging technology. That is out there, but it's not in your bay every day because it turns out it's a lot harder than everybody led us to believe.
It reminds me of the cardiologist, the doctor needs to keep your heart healthy. And there's so many things that you do to yourself in consumption and in exercise
and input,
in sleep, and that keeps you healthy. If the heart's the center of it, if ADAS is the center of this vehicle, keeping itself where it needs to be, healthy for the environment, healthy for the driver, healthy for pedestrians, healthy for the other vehicles, then all of this stuff has to be done. Our responsibility as specialists in the field is we got to know that this has to be calibrated. I don't ever want to know that I'm off 5 feet in 100.
The word that you just dropped there is the most important one: responsibility.
Yeah.
If you're a professional auto repair facility or a technician, isn't it your responsibility to do it correctly? Or at least offer the information up, and then it's their choice? I do not control my customer's wallet. However, I am the expert that they look to get the information so they can make an informed decision.
On what scenario have you ever ran into where at the end of whatever service, they say to you, we didn't do this because we didn't want to invest in the time or the equipment?
Well, what does that tell me about the facility I just left?
You have to go somewhere else to either have this completed, or they just don't tell you anything about it. And then you find out later, like, wait, did they ever do this? I'm not trying to be intentionally vague about auto repair. I'm thinking just whatever. You go to the doctor, they didn't do a certain test because they don't have the equipment. They didn't want to make the investment. Well, do they at least do you the services telling you could go to this other facility to get this test done or this treatment? Or do they just not mention it at all?
And if you're a shop that has the limited footprint and ADAS isn't for you, well, there might be somebody close that you can partner with, and everybody gets upset by giving another technician or another shop money in town. Yeah. But there are facilities that sent me alignments for years because they did not invest in the alignment equipment. So an ADAS facility for the aftermarket, for your smaller body shop, somebody that's not invested into it, maybe that's a way for you to at least offer it. Listen, we have a deal with a local ADAS shop that's not open to the public, but we do send our customers over that way. I don't know how many people know it, but have a small business model like that up in Aurora. If you don't do this, it's really hard to teach it. So to be able to get the equipment, have somebody drop a car off from a local body shop, it's like, hey, maybe 3 days before I get back in town to do it, drop it off at my friend's place. He'll put it in my garage and then I'll go out and take care of it. But that's how I started with it. And because they didn't want to make the initial investment and I had the equipment to do it, it naturally lent itself to, small businesses helping other small businesses.
I don't want to change the topic, but I want to swerve a little bit. Before we turned on the mics, Matt and I had this discussion about the reality that many shop owners don't realize what the cost of living is, what the cost of a home is. You remember that?
Yep.
The adage of the cost of eggs, the cost of butter, the cost of milk, everything going up, realizing that the families at work that he's responsible for, we fix vehicles, but we also have other mouths to feed. When I think about that discussion, Matt, about many people are making decisions and because in their world, their mortgage payment's $1,000, their rate maybe is 3.8 or lower, and not realizing that people in the real world today that want to buy a house. And have you priced your house on Zillow lately?
Yep.
Type thing. So my thought in that regard was, okay, you don't think it's important as an owner and all that you provide to your client. You have a 10-year-old vehicle. You're smart. You maintain it. It gets me back and forth to work. But one of the things that all three of us were talking about last week in prepping for this was, have you driven a newer car lately? You remember that discussion? Just go rent a car and see that there's no dashboard, but a big TV screen in front of you, and put it through its paces and get a feel for it. This is the stuff that's coming in your bays today. And what are you doing to make sure that the technology continues to live at the level it was born with?
It's super important. And like, if you get in a new car and you think that you can run your business on these cars the same way that you did a vehicle with a dashboard, we'll say, it's just incredible the amount of hope and unicorn wishes. Or if we don't understand the evolution of what it takes in technology, in training, in education, in just the investment of equipment and pre-system knowledge, a basic idea of what you're supposed to look for. I am amazed if you go through the driver's information center and go to driver's assist and just start rolling through the difference between lane keeping assist and lane centering control and full self-driving. There are different layers of integration. It's just amazing what your car can do. Now, you've been down to our EV center and we've driven the Tesla with full self-driving. We've got a video of you guys in the Mach-E when it's driving itself. When it works correctly, it is incredible. I teach it. I still don't trust it. My hand is by that wheel the whole time just because of the amount of information that's being processed and the amount of reaction that the car's capable of making. I just want to make sure it made the right choice.
From a perspective of you, Matt, I know you perform at the highest of level for your clients. You have all the equipment to do it right. You know, the old story of, Matt 600, how many times has a correct alignment and calibration been refused at your shop?
I can't think of like a calibration after the alignment. Of course, people, you call them that something's way out and needs control arms and they can't afford it. Okay, well, it's going to chew up your tires. It's going to pull. And that's been refused. But I don't think we've ever had, we've done the alignment and it needs this calibration. And they're like, well, no, don't do that. They know up front.
They're trusting you to make all the right decisions.
Well, it's sold together. Like it's not really, we can do the alignment and skip the calibration. Like that's just not an option.
But you're doing it because you own the equipment.
Yep.
The people that are quoting this, the right thing to do, the required next step after the alignment, they don't have a place to take this vehicle to get it done right because they don't own the equipment. They're not even requesting it.
How much effort did they put into finding a solution for?
I can't answer that.
Yeah. I mean,
but it's a great question.
They have to refer it somewhere.
How do you live, Matt, with all the spinning plates you have to put up in front of you?
I knew we'd.
I don't do any of them really well.
The spinning. This is going to go down in infamy.
Spinning is, I don't know. That might be an optimistic. Like they're wobbling.
I just want you to know we're creating this incredible new term in our industry, effective right now. It's called the spinning plate syndrome. Okay, and when us three were on a discovery call for this show, Matt says, "I have it written down, 2.5." That's what you said.
I'm switching the Tupperware though. Freaking plates breaking all over the
Yeah, there is a lot of broken dishes in my area. It's multitasking.
It is, but some of us can do it and some of us can't. And we stumble, we have comebacks. All that stuff goes on in the real world, hits you in the face. I think multitasking or spinning plates is critical. But I think you need to know what your limitations are.
When we've had this conversation, it took me a long time. And I've accepted that I am a two-plate person. I can juggle two balls at one time.
All right.
And it's literally just throwing one ball out of one hand at a time because that's all I can do.
1 week later,
I get distracted and lose concentration easily. And Matt and I had this conversation, and I think that is one of the biggest time sucks that I have when I'm doing a diagnostic is getting back into the phone ring. And in the back of my mind, if it rings more than 2 times, you need to go answer it because obviously somebody has forgot what they were supposed to do. And the same way within Matt's situation, even more, because that's part of his responsibilities. So the more that you put on your plate and try to juggle it or spin it, as you will, from the old N. Sullivan days.
That's where it came from.
I realized, and I got to tell you, when you look in the mirror and you have those hard conversations, now you can get a plan of action and just realize I could do 2 things okay. I can do 1 thing really well. And if I try 3, somebody's sweeping up broken dishes. That's just the way that my head works.
I think part of everything we have to think about is that you're cleaning up broken dishes. Matt, I know. Sometimes I pick up the phone, I call you, you're talking to Tracy, you're working some stuff out, and you're working. How do you do it?
I do a terrible job. You guys can probably tell. I mean, seriously, when you're talking to me in certain situations, you probably know my attention level with you is extremely low. And it's not like dismissive or I'm trying.
Call was hilarious.
Yeah, it's
he's
not like
got a line of 5 people upset. He loves this. And he's trying to talk to us.
Yeah, and I'm just, you can tell, like, this is nothing against you guys, or I'm not upset, but I just, like, my focus is elsewhere, or I'm trying to keep a certain amount of focus on something so I don't lose my place.
Yeah, but why do you take the call? Like, from me or anybody? I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about us as an industry that are allowing our people to probably float too many plates and to be productive and efficient and do a good job the first time.
And I don't know the number, and I typically have a rough time like mentioning like a podcast episode I did, but I discussed this once a while ago on Diagnosing the Aftermarket about Apollo Robbins, the gentleman thief. He's a magician.
Oh, right.
And my reason for that was just really pounding home that if anytime you go to a magician or a magic show, this is categorical proof that you can only focus on one or two things at once. And that's it. That's why magic works. That's why sleight of hand works. You can't focus on more than one or two things at once. You just can't. And what a magician does is control your focus. That's why they're good at what they do. They choose what you're going to focus on, and then they can do other stuff and you have no idea.
I love to watch magicians, and especially with close-up magic. And I remember one time sitting over to the right and watching them. I said, I know I'm going to catch it. I couldn't catch it. It was a bunch of magicians in a room. And I went from magician to magician from different perspectives to watch them. I couldn't find it, man.
Yeah, it hammers home that if you have distractions at work, whatever those are, going up and asking questions, phone calls, fires to put out, whatever that is, if you have distractions, you are setting people up to fail. They will start missing stuff. And how lucky are you going to be on what they're going to miss?
ADHD, hyperfocus, you said to me last week. And I said, you got to talk about that.
Well, it seems like this profession draws a lot of people that have a certain level of ADHD and attention deficit disorder, or that's kind of a poorly named, I don't know what you want to call it, affliction. It's poorly named. It's really a focus deficiency where you have trouble maintaining focus on any one thing, except people with ADHD have kind of a superpower.
That relates to the magic.
Yeah, where they can hyper focus.
Okay.
So I don't know about how many people you know with ADHD that are like diagnosed, that if they're working on something, if they're reading a book, watching a show, at work, taking a tire off, whatever they're doing, if they're focused on something, you can't get their attention. You can sit behind them and go, no, Matt,
Car crash behind them.
Matt,
won't even look.
Matt, you don't exist. The world doesn't exist. That is all.
Okay, we need to know this as team members and owners. And is that let this person go? They're going to be really great.
We all know it, but we've never identified it for other people.
Yeah.
Everybody refers to it. I'm in the zone. I was really deep into it. I understood things. I could read it, and it happened right away in my head. And that hyper focus, that is one of the traits, the personality traits that we seem to find over and over and over again. They're personable people, but when they're in that ultra focus mode, you may get a reputation as not being the nicest person in the shop.
Exactly.
You don't respond to people in smiles and common words about, hey, it's lunchtime. It's like, I'm busy over here. I'm really into this diagnostics, and I really don't have time to grab another plate and throw it up on that cane.
Yep. And then just kind of understand it, right? Understand what's happening. It's not personal. And if you do need their attention, you're probably not going to get it by saying their name or yelling, hey, you. It's probably going to be over like, hey, man.
When you get to a good stopping point, because that puts them back in control, and that lets them shut their mind down.
That's a great point.
So as a transmission rebuilder, as a diagnostician, there are points that get to a natural break for me in a process or at the end of gathering information. All right, I've completed the search on this wire and it's okay. Now I can stop and refocus on what you need me to do, and I don't have to re-execute my entire plan. We laugh about this because when you get interrupted, there are times when you go back to step one of the diag because something happens in your head that you as a diagnostician get completely lost.
You were in a flow, it got interrupted, and now in order to get back to step 3 or 4, you've got to go back to 1.
Yeah,
it's easier.
That's terrific advice when you get to a stopping point, because now you can set it up so that when you get back, you kind of know what to do. Where if you just up and leave it, how many times have you done that to somebody? Come over, have a conversation, have a meeting, talk to a customer, whatever the scenario is, they go back and then they kind of finish it up and they get almost done. And then it's like, oh no.
Yep. So
and now
the stopping point gets created by the tech, not by the person that needs the attention.
I got it. It's almost like a flag goes up and they look at it and they realize someone needs me, but they respect the fact that I got to get in the zone, or I'm in the zone. Don't interrupt them. Tracy just sent me a note. Society often confuses ADHD as someone who can't focus, which is different from what Matt explains.
Yes. It's poorly named.
That's the point here. It's a great point coming off this episode.
So ADHD, think about it. Your attention's just focused somewhere else. That's what it is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like they're ultra attentive. So the point where when we're thinking about 100 different things going on at one time and you don't have any one focus is just the same as having one focus and ignoring the 100 other stimuli that are in your environment.
Okay, emerging tech, let's wrap this thing up. AR, VR, XR, it's been tried. We've seen this years ago in other industries and including ours. Do we have enough supercomputer power and geniuses behind this to help a lot of our younger people find a new and exciting way to learn and become proficient as being specialists in our industry? Is this going to help?
It's another tool in the toolbox.
It's a tool.
Yeah, it's kind of one of them things. One person it might resonate with, and that was the spark,
Yeah.
right? That was it. Like that's when the tumblers lined up in their heads, and I get it.
I get it. Yeah.
And now the system works. And another one, that might not be it. It won't work, and then they'll probably get labeled as being dumb or whatever. And all they needed was really a mentor.
Emerging tech. Bill, when you see something new on a vehicle, read about some new fangled piece of tech on a car, do you get excited to see the evolution of this?
In the position I'm in, I read a lot of things that frankly are never going to happen. But when I read about an innovation in a battery film or a new way to make this or a new production model for a camera or a LiDAR unit that integrates this or that, I get excited about it. But then I also know after so much time on the planet, the implementation of good ideas and bad ideas both happen.
Does it get you excited for job security? And I only say this is that all of that new tech is going to require continuing education.
I don't know. Some people think it's big-headed to think about it. I'm to the point where I've got, maybe 8 to 10 years left in this industry, and I could literally stop learning right now and I would be fine. But that's not the people that we are.
Yeah.
I could do what a lot of other people in the industry have done and just kind of sit back, stop, and realize that my 10-year window of what I know right now is what I'll be working on through the end of it. But in order for me to educate somebody else, to provide that spark, that environment to learn, to satisfy our own needs, and we talked about successful automotive technicians and the way that we find our own way to educate ourselves, whether it's through experiments or failures or videos or whatever. I have job security because of the passion I have for what I do.
Bill Weaver from the EV Ready Training Center. Thanks for all that you're doing inside the industry and to teach all of our great young specialists. Matt, when you see something about new tech, do you get excited about it? Say, I can't wait to see it and touch it. It comes in the shop.
I mean, I would say so, yeah. I can't think of a situation where I wouldn't. There's stuff I'm surprised hasn't.
So you're like a kid in a candy store when it comes to that.
Oh, yeah. I guess I get a kick out of that stuff, right? I mean, again, it's nothing new, but to me, it's interesting that a customer shows up with their car and they're like, hey, could you help me link my phone to the infotainment system?
Oh.
And I'm just thinking to myself, like, people I used to work for, could they ever imagine somebody, A, having a phone, like a cell phone, and then B, like linking it to their car? I don't know. That stuff, I find that interesting and comical.
And then you could listen to this podcast linked from Bluetooth to the car. Get your big Bose speakers cranking up inside
On
the
your
car.
dashboardless car.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be certain podcasts that show up a little bit higher up on their
One or two.
And it would be ours in the Automotive Repair Podcast Network.com. Hey guys, thanks so much, Matt Fonslow, Bill Weaver, for being here at the Napa Now Conference, celebrating 100 years, the National Ownership Workshop, first time ever done here. And so far, I got to rate this thing an A+. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Carl.
Thank you.